Austrian mountains roar into life this weekend as the Formula 1 circus rolls back into life. It's been a long wait since the disappointing cancellation of the Australian Grand Prix back in March, but we're finally back in action. Today we'll answer all the key questions about this new season as we count down to the first free practice session of the season. We're all incredibly excited to go back racing here in Austria, and it's a fantastic facility with lots of history, spanning back to 1970 of the old Ring. Now, there's a state-of-the-art facility nestled in the Austrian mountains, just 123 miles from the capital, Vienna. And speaking of the circuit, here's your track preview of the Spielberg complex. So here we are on board with Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes. Now this is F1 2019, I know, and it's not the same liveries, but good news, I'll be getting the F1 game next week, so these previews should have all the new skins. But into turn number 2 and turn number 3, coming out of turn number 3 now. It's a difficult circuit, this one, and you want to get as much power out of turn number 3 as you can. That's the best overtaking spot. Through turn number 4, that's a decent overtaking spot we've seen over years, and now into the place where Valtteri Bottas had his big old accident in free practice last year. Out of there, and now into the place where there was that huge Formula 3 crash back in 2016. Out of there you go, and down this short straight downhill into a double right-hander, and it's so easy to get it wrong over the curves. There's no sausage curves over there anymore. A sensor is now in place for those sausage curves, but there's a lap around the Spielberg complex. It's not going to be an easy weekend, that's for sure, so here is your schedule. The action began a few moments ago with F3 heading out for the first F3 practice session of the year, and we're now just moments away from FP1. Then the stars of tomorrow head out for F2 practice, and then at 1 PM local time, the F1 press conference, and after that the F3 cars head out for quali at 2:05 PM. Then the F1 cars go out for the second time of the year for FP2, and after that F2 quali begins at 5 o'clock, and then the Porsches head out for their first practice session of the year, and the action begins tomorrow with F1 pit stop practice, and then at 10:25 AM the F3 cars head out for their first race of the season, and that will be 24 laps long. Then FP3 begins at 12 o'clock, and then at 1:30 the Porsches go out for their qualifying session. Then the anticipation builds as quali begins for Formula 1, and then the F2 feature race, which will go for 40 laps or 60 minutes. Then it's race day. Months of waiting will lead up to Sunday, with the action beginning with the F3 sprint race, and then at 11:10 the F2 sprint race. Then at 12:25 the Porsches go out for their only race of the weekend for 17 laps around the Austrian track, and at 1:20 the 40-minute driver presentation begins for the F1 stars, and then the national anthem sets the scene at 2:54, and then the wait is over. At 3 o'clock the first formation lap will begin, and then the first 71 laps of the season will begin. If you're wondering what the video schedule will be like, here it is. It begins of course with this preview right here, and then a qualifying and race preview just about an hour before the Grand Prix begins, then the race preview about 2 hours after the race. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you want more Formula 1 goodness in the future.
Leclerc's going to be on pole! B1.
Come on, baby. Yes!
It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen gets an awful start. He's already been bypassed by the two Mercedes, Norris and Raikkonen as well.
I need more power, mate. It's scripting a lot.
Old message, because I think he's got enough power, and he has. Into turn 3. That'll please the Dutch crowd here.
Tell me when to stop pushing.
target lap time 10.0. It's good like this.
Sebastian Vettel is coming in too, and that is a very neat move indeed by Ferrari.
He turned in on me.
Mate, there was nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with it.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, let's go on! Yes! Wow, mate. Oh, who would have done that after that one?
It was an incredible weekend last season as we saw a fantastic duel between Charles Leclerc and eventual winner Max Verstappen, with the race going down to the final 3 laps as the Dutchman won in front of the Orange Army. But anything can happen at this place, and we've seen that over the history of this incredible track. What does this place have in store in 2020? With the weather looking a little wacky this weekend, anything could happen. It's been a long time since the cars have been out on track. For some of you may have forgotten about some key points throughout the 6-day long test in Barcelona, and here is a quick rundown of what happened. Mercedes rolled out the gates with an incredibly controversial device called DAS, which caused a media frenzy after viewers noticed Lewis pulling his wheel inwards. Ferrari looked quite poor in testing, whether it's just sandbagging or not. Mechanical failures were a big talking point for the Italians. Red Bull looked incredibly strong with good reliability and a quick car as Verstappen put his car second in the combined results. McLaren looked solid as well as they prepare for Daniel Ricciardo's arrival, and Renault looked decent with Danny Ric placing 3rd and Ocon placing 6th. Racing Point were another controversial team with it coming that it was just a copy of the successful 2019 Mercedes, just with a bit of pink on it, but they did look very, very good. AlphaTauri looked a little bit average with Daniel in 11th and Pierre in 14th. Haas will be looking to bounce back after the disappointing circumstances of last season, and Alfa Romeo looked a little quicker than 2019 as they pushed to get back in the midfield battle, as Williams had a promising test with the new rocketless team 1.2 seconds quicker than 2019 testing, so no wild predictions. Expect much of the same in 2020. Racing Point could spring a surprise, but it could be a pretty similar year, just with a few exceptions. But I expect Red Bull to have a strong home race like usual, as I thought Damon Hill put it best. He stated that Lewis isn't great at this track because it's not difficult enough for him to show his talent. Been great to have you here on Raceday live as we look forward to FP1. We're just a few minutes away from FP1 beginning, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe and share the content, and go over to Sky Sports or wherever the action is over in your part of the world. And most importantly, enjoy the engines roaring once again.